When assessing the maturity of your employee offboarding process, here are 5 questions you might ask. We begin with data hygiene. Do you have access to accurate data about the state of your technology assets, and who has access to these assets, both for your employees and contractors? After all, if you have inaccurate data about the assets an employee has access to, well, then you'll struggle properly deactivating this access. With mid to large enterprises using on average over 180 SaaS applications, it can be extremely time-consuming manually checking to verify if proper access to all application and cloud instances have been correctly revoked for each offboard employee. 2. Has your offboarding process been fully documented? If not, then it can be a nightmare trying to manage and evaluate your team's collection of ad hoc actions to know if they completed all their offboarding tasks correctly and the offboarding process has been implemented properly. 3. Do all relevant stakeholders across the organization have visibility into the status of an ongoing employee offboarding, receiving notifications when tasks aren't completed on time or correctly? If not, then uncompleted tasks can fall through the cracks without management knowing it. One financial services company did an audit of previously offboarded employees and discovered over 20 were still getting paid. 4. Can you easily validate that an offboarding process was successfully completed for audit purposes? Or is your team constantly scrambling, trying to fill out logs in the rears when an audit is announced? 5. Do you know the total expense to offboard an employee when you factor in the cost of all manual tasks? Or is your offboarding process so complicated and ad hoc, filled with many manual steps, that you don't really know what it costs? If you're like most CIOs or others responsible for your company's offboarding process, you'll likely answer no to many, if not all, of these questions. And why is this? It's largely because your overall technology portfolio is so extremely complex, managed by siloed point tools run by siloed groups. The network folks have their own tools, the security folks have their own, the DevOps have their own. IT processes that span across these point tools, like employee offboarding, then need to be done manually as people need to access these tools to gather the appropriate data. A second condition also exists in that the data about an individual technology asset is often inconsistent in the multiple tools. So it's hard to trust the data you have is accurate. For instance, many say they don't fully trust the data stored in their CMDB is accurate. Combine a manual process with potentially inaccurate data and you have the recipe for human errors, which can lead to cost inefficiencies, security vulnerabilities, and issues come audit time. For this reason, I encourage leaders in IT to take a look at the maturity of their manual processes, like employee offboarding, to evaluate if automating these processes through the use of an ETM application would be beneficial to their companies.